Hello, hello, hello. What's going on? What's going on, YouTube, Star Wars community? And let me please welcome you to the episode 1 of the Conspiracy Cantina. I am Jedi Master Depaul, and we have some special guests, and we're about to jump right into this. So we're going to go around. I'm just super excited because this is actually our first actual episode. We had our last one, but our introductory episode, but this is episode 1. And we got some guests. So I'm one of your hosts, Jedi Master Paul, and we also have xcoregamerskillz as our other host.
Hello, everybody.
We have a special treat that we've been super excited about this, for the past 2 weeks, and I'm gonna call them. We have some experts on here about this topic right here. So we're going to go ahead and do some great introductions. So we're going to start from the top front. Bright, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Alexis, aka Bright Dragon. I am a TikTok creator, performer, aerialist, and general menace to society.
Awesome. Okay, and Miss Julia, please.
Yeah, I'm Julia. I'm at Julia Christine 77 on TikTok. I never intended to be a TikTok creator. I'm mostly a PhD candidate in English, so I teach and am working on my degree, and I try not to be a menace to society, I guess, but I will balance each other out in that way, hopefully. And I've named myself the CEO of Korkie Kenobi TikTok. I don't know that that's actually true, but I took the title anyway.
Awesome, thank you. That's an awesome introduction. Thank you, Bright. That's an excellent introduction as well. And we are going to go to our second host, xcoregamerskillz. A quick introduction on yourself too, as well.
Hi, I am xcoregamerskillz. Primarily, you can find me on TikTok. I am trying to diversify and break into YouTube and Twitch. I do have a few videos up on Twitch. But mostly, I'm just here because I love Star Wars, and I started making Star Wars content on TikTok and became friends with all of you fabulous people. So, we started a podcast with Ryan and I, and we have guests. And a lot of people are like, hey, can I be on too? And I'm like, well, absolutely. So I'm super excited. We have a couple great guests on tonight. And this is one of my favorite theories personally, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yes, it is. So thank you for that, man. I appreciate the great introduction. Like I said, my name is Jedi Master Depaul. You can call me Ryan Depaul, whatever you wish. Just don't call me late for dinner. But I am not a master of any. I'm a jack of all trades of Star Wars. So I love Star Wars content. I'm just very passionate about it. I love how it does. You can find me on TikTok and as well as on YouTube. But yeah, super excited to get into this episode and really just dig deep into this topic. It's actually been a very controversial topic, and I didn't. When I first heard it, I was like, nah, really? Like, possibly. And then watching some of the videos and Julie, some of your videos, and just seeing other people's TikToks and theories about this, it starts to make sense. And it's like, like, is it possible? Could this be a excellent Jedi conspiracy that's covered up? It's like so. So if you're wondering what we're talking about, as the title says, Korkie Kenobi.
Ooh.
And like I said, we have the expert. Is this Korkie Kenobi, aka, or I should say, what's his real name?
Kryze.
Korkie Kryze, aka
Yeah.
Korkie Kenobi. So this is a topic that's been going around, and I can understand why. I totally understand why. It's just from the Clone Wars and everything. So I'm not going to tell that much about it because I want our guests to really get into it. So, and this is not going to be like more of like a round robin. It's like just jump in when you want to. So this is going to be. There's no real structure on this one right here. So the floor is open. We want to talk about everything. We do have some talking points, But for the most part, the floor is open, and we're gonna actually let's start with the first talking point. I apologize about that. So with that, because I actually have closed my Discord down.
I've got it here.
You got it.
So let's just go around the room. Is everyone here a truther? I personally, yes. This was something I sort of have been saying. I watched the Clone Wars when it came out on Netflix. Is when I really got into it. I watched the whole thing, and I was like, "Come on, that's not his aunt." So that was my take, even back then. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think I've kind of if you know who I am, you probably know the answer. Although it was sort of a situation for me where I had like a breakup with Star Wars for a couple years, and so then when I came back on TikTok and got back into Star Wars, I saw a couple videos on it, and I was like, oh yeah. And so then I kind of went back and I rewatched the episodes he was in, and then worms got into my brain, and then they started piloting everything, and now it's completely the only thing that controls my life. So it's, people, I didn't choose to be this way. It just sort of happened. But yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I have to agree. So like I was like, ooh, he seems like he could be, the child of those two. And then I started watching Julia's videos, and I was like, there's no way he's not.
I feel kind of bad that so many people feel that way, because it's kind of like, I feel like I'm spreading something that is contagious, and feel somewhat responsible for it, but also it's fun and it doesn't hurt anybody, so I shouldn't feel that bad, perhaps.
I love it. I'm having so much more fun with your conspiracies than I was before this, so.
Hey, absolutely. No, it's great, because like you take on a whole different level, and I'm like, okay. I mean, at first I was like, nah, that's not it. But then I was like, start thinking, like you said, are you a truther? I mean, I was like, it's possible. But nah, they would just already revealed about. But no, like, you never know, because Disney does some real sneaky, well, I say Star Wars does some sneaky stuff. It's the misdirect. They always do the misdirect. And next thing you know, boom, we are getting a Kenobi show. So, hey, it's a little more deep into Kenobi, because anything is possible. But no, yeah. For those who don't know, who are not familiar with what we're talking about, what's a truther?
I will say I have to mute every once in a while. I have a very feisty dog. There's been some storming, and so he doesn't like any noises that are coming from the sky. So I'll try to mute when he's barking, but you might hear Buster on occasion. Korkie Kenobi Truther is someone who believes that Satine's nephew, Korkie Kryze, is actually her child with Obi-Wan. That's the basis of that theory. So in the Star Wars community, I feel like truther could mean a lot of things, but like specifically, that's, I think, what a lot of people are referring to. That's pretty much the definition, I think.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the definition.
That's where I'm at.
Excellent. I just want to get that clarification out there, because some people's like, right now this is not a segue into it, but the High Republic, they have a something called a truth seeker and all that stuff. Like, so you've got to be more clear about what the truther is. And so excellent, great. Thank you for that clarification. So truther. So yeah, I mean, I didn't start off as a truther, but
you never do.
I'm the OG truther in the room, huh? That's surprising.
Yeah,
that's surprising, because like I said, I was watching it and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that's Aunt Satine. Like, come on.
It was always suspicious.
They're not fooling me. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, yeah, no, for real, because like I got some nephews and nieces, and I love them, but I'm like, the way that interaction was, I'm like, that's your child interaction. But yeah, so this is crazy. I do want to just say hello and thank you for everybody who's in the chat. Dope, Ace, thank you for coming in and spend some time with us. Zach, Appreciate that. Cart to D2. We really do appreciate you guys tuning into this one and checking this out and really just giving us the support that we need and being here for this podcast and checking out this topic because it's going to be a great one. So X-Core. So what's the next one? Next bullet point.
So the next question I have, and this is mainly because I didn't have time to research it. How old is Korkie at the start of the Clone Wars versus how old is he when was he born? What was his birthday?
April 12th. No, I can, but I want to hear what everybody else thinks of how old you think, like when you first saw the episodes, like, because I obviously have my take, but I'm more interested in what everybody else thinks or thought about his age.
Yeah, I thought he was about like 13 or 14 in the first, like, what was that, season 2 or 3?
Yeah, season 3.
Because the Clone Wars is 7 seasons, but it's 3 years long. So it's one of those like there is so much stuff that happens. We have like 1 million novels now. We have 7 seasons, and then you have, the 2 movies kind of bookending things. I mean, Star Wars has always been weird with time. So when someone could go out and get the dates, it's great. I really should have done more research, but, life happens. But, yeah, I always thought he was like 13 or 14 maybe at the start of the Clone Wars, which would make him, 17 or 18?
I agree, because I thought he was like at most 15 when we first meet him. So I could be wrong, but that's...
I'm just checking my notes. So don't get the dates wrong.
That's good.
Nice. No, yeah, I thought it was around like 13, 14. I would say 12, but hitting 13, hitting that, I need to be royalty, adolescents, and blah blah blah. But just from the way he carried himself, not yet that mature mentally, but it's like I know I'm supposed to carry myself this way, but I am still a kid and like that. So no, yeah, around 13. That's what I thought. In the Clone Wars, I couldn't tell you, but yeah.
So it's the first episode of the Academy takes place in 21 BBY. So basically, part of the information I'm using for this isn't canon, but it's an adaptation. So there's the book Shadow Conspiracy, which is a young reader adaptation of basically the 4 episodes in season 4 going into 5 when Maul returns. And in that book, when Korkie rescues Satine from prison, he's described as being in his late teens. So I sort of used that as my starting point because I didn't see any reason why that wouldn't also be true in canon. And so late teens to me is like 17, 18, 19. And so subtracting basically a year, 2 years, 15 to 17 in season 3, 17 to 19. I think he's a bit older. Another reason for this is Ahsoka's age. So she was born in 36, so she's 15 as well. And I think they're roughly the same age. So I agree he is youngish, but I think they're actually supposed to be a little bit older teens, roughly peers with Ahsoka, the goal being that she can get through to them because they're in a peer group. So with that plus the late teens description in season 5, that's kind of where I put him. It is really hard to gauge ages, especially of animated characters. And then I also compare him to someone like Lux Bonteri, who is also roughly the same age. So that's my take, but I also could see seeing him as younger. But that's what I have in terms of how old. So I think he's probably 15 in season 3 and maybe like 17 in season 5, but he could be older. He could be as old as 17. I know he seems really young, but animation-wise, I wouldn't put it past them. I think he was born in 37 BBY, but that's only because that would make him 20 years younger than Obi-Wan, and the math is easier in my head to be like, okay, how old is Obi-Wan? And then I just subtract 20 years, and I know how old Korkie is. So that's basically my take. Oh, I also see Zach's comment. Hello, Zach.
Zach, he seems like a younger teenager. Julia pulls out the spreadsheet. Hey, I love it. That was awesome.
Julia has all the receipts.
She does. I appreciate it because, man, I was just like, I just see like Julia's like, not the Rain Man, but like, what's the Goodwill Hunting, like just up there like, doing the math.
Not using it for anything important. These skills should be going towards my dissertation, but
or the Charlie Day with the strings.
Yeah. I want to make a cork board. Like, it's funny because it's a cork board,
right?
But I would have to buy a cork board, and then I have to buy like string. But I do want to do that eventually, and like do the whole bit. It's a big project. I don't really have time or money for that, but that would be a goal one day, is to recreate that scene with Korkie.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Oh man, Zach said that. So no, yeah, that's awesome. If you were to be an astrology sign, which would he be? That's a good question. I have no clue.
I think is Obi-Wan technically an Aries because of Ewan McGregor? Because I think we're born 3 days apart. No. Me, Ewan McGregor, and Hayden Christensen are all Aries.
Okay.
So, but I don't know if Korkie would also be, if he is the son of Obi-Wan.
Right. If I had to give it like an Earth designation, he strikes me. He gives me big Virgo energy.
Ooh.
He seems like a very type A, like we have to do things by the rules type of person. But he's also a little bit chaotic, so maybe not. But I don't know that much about astrology, but yeah.
I can get behind Virgo.
Yeah. I see that also. I'm like, okay. Now you say that, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But so yeah, that's a good one right there. Thank you for the question, Cart.
Yeah, good question.
Put a cork board supply. Right. For real. Do that.
I should.
Okay, cool. So, now, so we went over what his birth year. Well, yeah, his birth year and everything. So,
how old would Obi-Wan have been if that was his birth year?
If he was born in 37, sorry, I just kind of move around a lot. So Obi-Wan was born in 57 BBY. He's the only person in this equation that has an actual birth year. Satine doesn't have an actual birth year. Obviously, Korkie doesn't have an actual birth year. We don't even really have concrete years for this particular Mandalorian Civil War in canon. So the only thing I have to hold on to is that Obi-Wan was born in 57 BBY. So he would be 20 years old when he was born, but if we factor in how long it takes to make a baby, probably more like 19, the actual making of the baby. But that's approximately how old he would be. I just have been assuming Satine is pretty much the same age. They just seem like they're, roughly the same age.
Huh. You know what? And now that you just said that makes think of a guy's mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset is like, oh, you're young.
Yeah.
Young and dumb.
Yeah. And all the Jedi are being told, don't go out and get attachments. And what do you do at 19? Do you follow the rules or do you go do things?
You go do things.
Well, that was the craziest part, is that Obi-Wan didn't follow the rules until he met Qui-Gon.
Hey.
For any of you that have read Master and Apprentice, that was like the big thing. Obi-Wan was out of control, and they're like, we'll put him with this guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was like, hey, we need some structure. So here you go, boom, go over there and straighten up, get scared straight or something like that. So yeah, okay. I mean, that's very doable. That's very possible.
I gave him the weird hippie master, and Obi-Wan's desire to rebel was like, fine, I guess I'm going to be by the books. And I can't believe that's the canon plan, but that's that's pretty much exactly what it says in Master and Apprentice is like, he is giving us trouble. We're going to give him the, like, you know, master who likes to, like, buy crystals. And then he will be like, actually, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever you say because this is not working.
It's actually hilarious because if you remember the show Family Ties, any of you, and I know the two of you are a little younger.
Vaguely.
Michael J. Fox's character was like an 80s Republican because his parents were hippies, so the only way he could rebel was to, you know, wear a suit and a briefcase.
That's pretty much what happened.
So it makes a ton of sense because if you have a rebellious kid, you put him with somebody, and like that's the guy he spends all his time with. So,
yeah,
and it worked. I mean, it did work. Obi-Wan is, you know, as straight laced as they come once you finally get to meet him. But it took some time to get him there.
Yeah, it worked, but at the detriment of Obi-Wan's personal happiness.
Yeah.
He was successful in, you know, in many ways, but it didn't. Yeah, he was never gonna. It's complicated.
Well, it always is.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, it's. I have not read Master and Apprentice yet. I hear that it's a great book, and I know you guys have said
come on
many times to read it. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I am not a huge reader, but I love audiobooks, so I will go ahead and get it on audiobook because I do I have a lot of things going on at once. So yeah, I will pick it up and listen to it along with a couple of things that have been recommended to me. But so yeah, so I can see your point with the whole Qui-Gon though. I have read up on him, and just with the Obi-Wan strictness and of being rebellious and then going to stricken because yeah, obviously like you said, it makes perfect sense. And slipping up, having an accident, you know.
Yeah. This is the official body language sign for Korkie Kenobi truthing. It's just this. This is just that's basically the universal sign. Alexis, have you read Master and Apprentice?
That's the next one on the list after we finish Into the Dark. So we're doing back and forth.
Reese is like I'm starting a home for Star Wars boys doing their best, and right now it's just Korkie and Reese, but I am willing to welcome in other boys doing their best. So that's currently who lives in that house.
And I think the other thing too about the accidents happened, like I don't know about you guys, but like I always just assumed it was like the one time and then Korkie. Like
I would love that.
It was like they were just about out of the woods, and it sort of just happened. That's always been like.
I think they just got lucky.
How I saw it.
Yeah. Or unlucky. I don't know.
Like Qui-Gon's like, I gotta go out for cigarettes. You two be good. Well, see you later.
That's how it happens. I made a video about I made a Korkie Kenobi like fan fiction bingo card with all the things that you frequently see. And one of them
yes.
And basically one of them is like, yeah, that's pretty much like he's a fan fiction trope baby. And so that's one of them. But I also just think thematically and character-wise, if there's anyone in Star Wars who is like, I'm going to be good and follow the rules and like, you know, it's like gonna frankly have unprotected sex one time. You know who's gonna end up with a child? It's gonna be Obi-Wan.
Yeah, you're right.
That's the only person. I mean, he is just the type of person that like fate works either for or against him for like it's everything that can happen to Obi-Wan will happen. It's kind of like my mindset.
Yeah, that's usually how it is for poor Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I mean he gets stuck with Luke in the middle of nowhere, and he's just like, well, I guess this is my life now. He's not like, hey, maybe we should together? No? Not just me by myself? Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. I'll just hang out in this hut because they don't want anything to do with me. You go be a frog somewhere, I guess. Bail will help. Money, you got connections. No. You have a private villa, maybe, where you are? I don't know.
Anything.
Just, no, I'll hang out here in the desert for no reason.
I'm out.
For 20 years. Without a word. I mean, I know we'll get some more context in Kenobi, but it's like, from what we had for years, it was just, he was on a desert for 20 years in his hut doing absolutely nothing.
He literally was like, just don't return to the Jedi Temple, and dipped. Like, that was it. Where did you go?
It's like, don't return to the Jedi Temple. Oh, by the way, take this kid with you.
Good luck.
Sure. This worked out so well the last time.
Yeah. Bale and Brea said, we'll take the girl, and then they left.
Yeah. Like, don't raise them together. You know, don't give these kids a fighting chance. Just, that farm
get rid
in the
of
middle of nowhere. If the Empire ever decides to show up, he's just out there. I mean, like honestly, it's amazing that he never got caught. Mm-hmm. And Kenobi doesn't even change his name.
He's just like, my name is Ben now. Ben Kenobi.
Ben
great.
Kenobi.
That's a little similar to Obi-Wan. You sure it's not the same guy? No, it's fine. Nah, he wouldn't go there.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I just love that Obi-Wan ends up raising two different Skywalkers. Like, this is part of the reason, like, not even, like, there's all the, like, evidence and all that stuff, but it also just, thematically, Obi-Wan is constantly being given other people's children, and it just seems like it's a really interesting parallel to have, like, a biological child who, like, he wasn't involved with, while he's, like, constantly, like, having to care for Anakin, and then Anakin's child. That, again, it just seems like the type of thing that would happen to Obi-Wan, where he's, like, in charge of the Skywalkers, but not, and it's, like, not involved at all in his own like, biological child's life. That's just sad. Mostly, like, this is fun, and then I think about it for a little bit longer, and then I just get really sad.
Yeah.
So he's the official Jedi's foster program.
And
Yeah.
the saddest thing about Luke is, like, Owen and Beru take the kid, and you can tell Beru is happy about it.
Yeah.
But it looks like Owen's only doing it because he has to. Like, okay, that's my nephew, I guess. Sure. It's like he's super put off by it, and Obi-Wan just has to go, this is the future of the entire galaxy. Oh, I'm going to go, you want me to, I can't stay for dinner? No? I thought we were, okay, yeah, I guess. Like, it's the whole thing is just...
Wow.
Like, you sure you want him? He's kind of a distracted farmhand. Like, you're, okay, you can have him.
That's awesome. Oh, man. So, with that said, the next one will be like, who's the third in name in the Kryze siblings?
Yeah, who is the Kryze sibling we've never heard of? Like, they're just like, oh, that's somebody else's kid, and it's like, well, we have two Kryzes.
Yeah, and there was like, oh, that's my nephew. Oh, that's my nephew. Okay, then who's your sister? No, it's my nephew. Okay, but who's the third? It's my nephew. That's great.
Is this like the term nephew? Is this like a Mandalorian thing for a kid you adopt?
Nephew.
Like...
Well, that's one of the things that is so strange. And Mandalorian lore is confusing because most of it now is legend stuff, and so there's not a lot of canon material. But Mandalorian culture and society really values children, and it's also, adoption is really common. And so it's very strange to me that because you could say that Korkie does have parents somewhere. Where are they? Who knows? Like, I suppose it's theoretically possible, but we get the sense that he's been raised by Satine, Prime Minister Almec. Korkie mentions knowing Prime Minister Almec his entire life. It just seems like he's kind of always been on Sundari in the palace being raised. Point being that adoption is so common, it seems like if Satine is essentially raising him, adopting him, it seems like a very Mandalorian thing to do, but she goes out of her way to call him her nephew, and it just seems very strange. I mean, someone who knows more about like the new Mandalorians might be better able. It seems to me, it's like I want to keep him close to me and have him be a family member, but I don't want to draw the suspicion of like, oh, like you adopted him from where? He's your son. It seems like Obi-Wan would be more likely to get news of her having a child than having like a nephew. That's my reading, I guess.
Yeah, it's like none of it makes any sense unless it's this conspiracy that they won't admit to. You know what I mean? Like, and I've always thought that like it was Dave's intention the entire time, and everyone's like, "No, this is a kid show. You can't talk about that."
Darn it.
like if this had been now when we have the Mandalorian and we have all this, you know, adult centered content, it wouldn't have been a thing. But this is, you know, on. What was it on Nickelodeon at first? When it aired?
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is you know, early 2000s Cartoon Network, and it's like, now you just we're not doing Dave. Dave said no.
Dave.
Child soldiers and war crimes and violence are fine, but if you have unmarried parents,
we draw the line.
Welcome
not
to America.
allowed.
I always thought it would be
Literally, welcome to America.
I always thought it was interesting because I was like, maybe she keeps saying nephew because if it was a tie between like her and him as like a mother-son thing, and then, you know, Obi-Wan got wind of it, and then it became this whole thing where he's actually connected to the Jedi, and then it becomes this weird tension between her being a pacifist and having a son of, you know, a person who works for the Republic. I don't know if that would become like a very big, because she was so bent on being a pacifist.
Yeah.
That was like her whole thing. So
yeah, and sort of an isolationist too, if I'm not mistaken. Like she
definitely.
Mandalore wanted to be its own thing forever. If they weren't going to be an empire, they didn't want to be part of the Republic. They didn't want to be with the Separatist Confederacy either. They wanted to be their own thing. So it's very to me, you know, I lost my train of thought, but it's very like, nobody can find out this is the kid of a Jedi, because, you know, at this point they're literally serving the Senate. So it's like, nah, that can't be a thing.
Mm-hmm. And they're also like, I mean, at this point, obviously they have been working together, but they're hereditary enemies. Like, again, most of that stuff is legends, but I also think they make it clear with like the Darksaber and Vizsla, and like a lot of that history brings in the idea that the Mandalorians and the Jedi are enemies, and like the Mandalorian, like the armor, like everything that they created for weaponry, like it was to fight Jedi. And so it's probably not a good idea for lots of reasons. In terms of if I think there's an actual third sibling, I go back and forth, because there was this, you know, horrific war in which Obi-Wan says half of the population died, which is crazy. There very easily could have been a sibling who died during the war that the team could be pinning this child on. So that is that's very reasonable for me. And like, she doesn't want to talk about the sibling because it's very painful, and she also doesn't mention Bo-Katan at all. So I wouldn't put it past the team having another sibling she never mentions, because she already has one with another one, especially if this one, you know, died during the war and she had to sort of take care of their child for them. So I'm 50-50. It's either like a really obvious, she's just assuming that people don't ask, or there is someone, but they died during the war.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but that's the other thing, is like, when, like, isn't that part of the culture? Like, if it's your sister's kid, then you just, like, that's your kid now.
Yeah.
Because they do. That's the thing. They do that all the time. Like, and it's like they'll pick up a kid from somewhere else and just be like, "This is my kid now.
It's mine
like,
now. Yeah.
That's it. He's mine. I'm gonna take care of him." I mean, so for this to be the thing is like, there's gotta be like an extra reason. Is always been my reasoning.
Yeah.
And it's totally that.
Yeah. To answer the question in the comments, she's not his mother. Dave Filoni has said that. I think he said specifically, like, we thought about that, but no, she's not. And I also think now that they've essentially, I don't know if they retconned her age or if they clarified, but she's not that much older than Korkie. Katie Sackhoff recently said in an interview that she's in her mid to late 40s in Mandalorian, which is pretty much the same age that Korkie would be. He'd be a little bit younger than that, like early to mid 40s. So either she was always meant to be that young, or they've changed it. But so yeah, he said it's not her, because I know some people thought that he was like Pre Vizsla and Bo-Katan's child, which first of all, I don't think Bo-Katan is interested in men, and second, they would want that child to be a Death Watch soldier. So, but no, she's not. But like that makes sense. I think with the hair color too, it's definitely like a contingency plan where they could have gone that way. But he said no, she's not. And I don't know if we want to talk about the Google Hangout. That sort of
I was about to say
a big bombshell, because there's a Google Hangout from like 7 years ago with a bunch of Clone Wars people, including Dave Filoni. Pablo Hidalgo is there, and that's where this comes from, where he's asked specifically, is Bo Korkie's mother? And he says no, and then he kind of like pauses and is like, actually I have a joke about Korkie, but I can't tell it because then it would set the fan world ablaze, and basically says that he has a whole family tree planned out, and sent emails to Pablo Hidalgo, who's the leader of Star Wars Story Group, basically the keeper of the canon. And Pablo was like, let's not address that. And basically made it seem like they tabled that and was like, David, no, Dave, you can't, Dave. And he's like, but please. And they're like, we'll just put it on the back burner. So if you haven't, if you like, YouTube is Bo-Katan Korkie's mother, you'll find the clip, because the whole thing is like an hour long, but there's like a 2-3 minute clip of him answering that question. Okay. It's what gets many people in the door.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Bo-Katan, her age makes sense if you look at what's going on, because if she was the firstborn, she would have been in Satine's position.
Right.
So she's got to be at least younger than Satine, and then if you look at sort of where she is now, I mean, it makes sense for her to be in her late 40s at around, what is it? It's like 9 ABY, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah.
So if she's 20, basically, well, no, actually. Yeah, they did something weird there, because it's almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So she would have to be real young.
Like, well, and I think there's some fudging. There's some fudging, and it is, I do understand people who, because at one point Dave insinuated that maybe Bo and Satine were twins, so that's obviously not true anymore, because
that's definitely not a thing,
right? But that's when I say, like, jokingly, like, who's older? Is Bo or Korkie older? Because they're theoretically really close in age. My headcanon is that she was a very young child during the war, and obviously separated from Satine, and sort of ended up with family who were maybe a bit more radical, and some of those ideas kind of seeped in when she was a little kid, and as she grew up realized, actually, hey, I'm going to be a teenager and rebel, and ended up, that's how I kind of think about it, but I have no idea. It's Star Wars, we don't know how old anyone is.
Right. The only people we got, like, the only people we ever knew how old they were Luke and Leia. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone else is sort of a mystery, and then Yoda said he's 900. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, we have no idea how old Han is. We have no idea how old anybody is. Obi-Wan, Vader.
Yeah.
Nope. And then episode 1 comes out, and you get one age, and that's, you get Anakin, he's 9. That's it. That's all you get. You don't get any more.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Until we get some more of the Disney acquisition, and we get more of that stuff. But yeah, they've always been weird about how long things take place and when they take place.
Yeah. Their showing of time is unclear at best.
No, I agree. I think, they do that, I believe. It was just my thought about it, that why they are very vague with the whole time thing, because people look too deep into it.
Well, they're not going to stop us.
No, it's not. Obviously, we know that. It's not going to stop us. Like, hey, we're going to figure this out. We're going to crack this bad boy and force you to make this a thing. And that's
Yeah.
hey, that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
But somebody said,
Like, there's a reason they can't tell me when the Mandalorian Civil War was and how old Korkie is, because knowing those two pieces of information will reveal the truth.
Mhm.
And it's, you would think that here's the thing that really gets me is, like, I know that, like, very important people know about this. I know Pablo Hidalgo knows about this. I know authors know about it. So, like, they could really, truly just be like, hey, stop it. And, sometimes I think maybe you just should, because then I can, like, rest. But they have yet to do that, and I'm just sitting here in pain.
I really think there's a plan for the future.
Don't get my hopes up.
I mean,
hey,
you know, I've already said it. What's the best worst thing they could do with Korkie? They're going to put him in Kenobi. Like, if he's not in Andor, and there's no reason he couldn't be in both places, if I understand the timeline, but
Yeah.
they're gonna put him in Kenobi. And he's gonna be working for the Empire in some sort of capacity.
Oh no!
And I'm telling you, he's the 10th brother. Like, because we don't know how many Inquisitors there were. We know that
you're breaking Alexis's brain
you
right
went
now.
deep on that one. Wow.
we know there's at least 9. You fight the 9th sister on Kashyyyk, and you defeat her, and she's gone. In Fallen Order, for any of you who haven't played. So, I'm telling you, he's the 10th brother. He shows up, and Obi-Wan either has to turn him away from that path, or he's got to take care of it. That's the best, worst thing they could do. And I'm telling you, if I know Dave, he's going to do it.
No!
They're going to do something with Korkie, nor what, because that's one thing that Star Wars has always did. They don't just introduce a character and give them more than 5 minutes of screen time and just toss them away. So plain and simple, like everything has a place in it and has a method. Next thing you know, you got a whole damn like the Andor. I didn't care for him at all. I'm like, why are you guys doing a series about this? I'm like, seriously? And I'm like, but apparently he's a big role. So all right, cool. So yeah, the whole Korkie thing, it just leads to it. I mean, it's like just makes sense.
It's everybody. Here it is.
So no, I mean that's just my thoughts about that one. So, and they're just messing with us. It's like they're telling a story, and I believe even with the Bad Batch, they're just building everything up and getting everything at peace. It's like, okay, we're just expanding the universe so we can make more and more content. And who knows? Shit. What if the cloak person is somebody who Korkie's working with? Yeah. Also, he pops up in the Bad Batch.
And he might be in it.
I'm like, what the hell? But
because they brought back the Martez sisters for Bad Batch, so I feel like they'll bring up any minor characters. They'll just throw them back in. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Who knows?
This is something
I have a feeling it's Saw in that hologram, but that's
I thought it was Bale.
That's a topic for another video.
You think Rex?
I think it's Rex.
Until
I think
go ahead.
Occam's razor tells me it's Rex, and I'm just gonna
see. Here's the thing: if Rex is doing his own thing right now, like if what I got from the Rebels,
I think his own thing he's doing is finding clones and removing their chips.
Yes, but is he looking for Is he looking for other clones? Because the only people we see him with are, who was it? Was it Cody and Wolf?
Wolf and Gregor.
I have to rewatch that arc. I haven't in a while because I was just like, ooh, Rex, happy. Yeah, the Rebels. Yeah. So it's literally it's just him and a couple people. So I really like. My thing is, I think it's Saw because of the Martez sisters are into some seedy stuff. And Maul's running a crime syndicate.
I forgot about that.
It would sort of make sense because they have contacts with the Hutts. They have contacts with the Pikes. So it would make sense that they have contacts in the Black Sun. But the only thing is, Maul doesn't seem the type to be waging a war against the Empire.
Yeah, he also doesn't seem to care about clones. He has one area of concern, and it's Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Right.
Even through Rebels, he doesn't seem to give anything about the Empire.
No,
he understands what that information is worth.
Yes.
There's one thing about Maul Maul is so much like Sidious in that he will play every angle. He's so much opposite that he only cares about the one thing, and that one thing happens to be Kenobi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, Beth at Mara J. Skywalker, we were talking about like doing cameos to like pay people to tell us the truth about Korkie, and so we tried it with Sam Witwer, and he went through like this whole spiel. It was very funny, but he ended it with, he's probably dead, may the force be with you. And so that's now the saying that we say to each other. But yeah, it was very interesting because it was someone who's like an actor, but it was funny because he went between him, Sam, and like Maul, like interchangeably. He was like, I didn't kill him, but like, I don't think I killed him. And I'm like, Sam, like, I hope you haven't killed anyone. But it was funny. I've just like completely lost my train of thought because now I'm just thinking about. Well, I don't know what I was going to say. This is probably a good time for me to bring up my Korkie adjacency hypothesis, which is that because he is connected in this theory to both Mandalore and to the Jedi, he could essentially appear in literally any new Star Wars property that isn't the High Republic.
You're right.
Yes. Like I said, it would make sense for him to show up in Mandalorian. It would make sense for him to show up in Andor. It would make sense for him to show up in the Ahsoka show. It would make sense for him to show up in Kenobi.
Yep.
But like I said, if I know Dave, he doesn't waste characters. He doesn't like even his visual language with
yeah, we're
all seeing
they specifically animated frames where he goes, and it's like, why do that? Why would you do that?
But then if you and then you look at the last moments of Depaul, and then you look at the last moments of Ezra and Kanan, and they're all doing the exact same pose.
They're doing the like.
They're doing the. I'm sorry.
This thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave doesn't do things on accident. He never has. I mean,
unfortunately,
the man really is a genius. So you're telling me this isn't on purpose?
Right.
Well, the first thing. First of all, DOB, you're making me very sad. But that is a very interesting story. That I could see him trying to take down Maul. Like, but I see him doing it in terms of like maybe getting someone like Kira to like be like, hey, you should just like take over because this guy sucks. And Kira being like, you know what, you're right. And then like that's how he gets his revenge because he knows he can't actually like kill him. Anyway, what was I trying to say? Oh, the first thing Korkie says or does in all of Star Wars is it's like, that's a very cool weapon. Can I touch it? And he's talking about Ahsoka's lightsaber. Literally the first thing he does is, I want to touch this lightsaber. And Almec and Satine are like, no, and like stopping him immediately. And then he ends that episode with it was an honor to serve alongside a Jedi Knight. And it's like, this is why I think Ahsoka and Korkie, like as a team of characters, I would love to see, have more stories together because there's so much drama there. It's just very juicy because she essentially had all this time with Obi-Wan that he didn't have, but they both feel rightfully, potentially very betrayed by the Jedi or very unsure of their identity. And I think that would make for a really interesting story. And so anything that's related to Ahsoka, I'm like, well, theoretically, he could show up. He seems like the type of person who would try to find her as someone potentially as an ally. But yeah, you have to just kind of, I know that's like why I'm here is to talk about this stuff, but I will just go on literally forever if I'm not stopped.
No,
hey,
that's
okay.
okay.
That's the whole purpose of this, to get you, give you a voice even more, expand it, and get this
enabling
out there.
You're enabling me to the point where, like, I know that I'm causing people problems, and you know what? That's fine, I guess.
Hey, don't worry, we'll all have a therapy bill. It's okay. Oh man, that was good. I like that one. That was and to just some great points there with everything. I love how these came back full circle. But yeah, it was just some amazing points. And like you said, like ex core gamer, like Dave doesn't do anything on accident. I used to think he did. You just, oops, sorry, I stepped on banana and I did a backflip without doing it. But no, he's like everything. It's a method to every madness, and it's crazy. So, yeah, that whole, yeah, like Bree said, no, right,
Well,
right,
yeah. Well, something, and I kind of want to get everybody's opinion on this. Something that I've noticed. It's strange to me. It's strange to me that in the Lawless, they could have easily killed him off, but they add in this line where Almec is like, "Oh, all of the conspirators escaped." Basically, it seems like it's very shoehorned in, because later we see Bo-Katan, and so we get confirmation that she's alive. But when season 7 came out, I didn't watch it right away, but when I did watch it, and there's the whole Siege of Mandalore, I'm like, yeah, but where's Korkie should be here?
Yes.
He's not here, and it's weird that he's not here.
Yeah.
And then from what I've heard in Rebels, there's an entire arc that, like, it would make sense that Bo would have Korkie there as part of, like, the struggle of, like, Satine's legacy, and he's conspicuously absent. That's my reading. So I kind of want to get everybody's take on, like, why he's not in these stories about Mandalore, about Clan Kryze. If they could have just killed him if they didn't want to reuse him. That's my...
Exactly. So either he's in hiding, they got him in hiding, or with somebody, or doing something. So no, I 100% agree, and that's why I was like, I'm glad you said it, because you brought that back to my head. I was like, actually about that, and I was like, well, season 7 he wasn't there. They didn't say he got killed off. They didn't say something like that. It's like, where was he when Satine got killed? I'm like, what? Like, seriously?
Yeah.
There's unanswered questions. I was like, okay.
Here it is again.
Yeah, if the Kryze family, Kryze, if the family is such a big deal, then we would have heard about his death. That's, I don't know.
So, he's definitely alive, and my reasoning for this is very simple. He doesn't have a listed canon death.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. Everyone who's dead is in one of the lore books, visual dictionaries, this, that, or the other thing, listed as dead.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. I mean, everyone wants Mace Windu to come back. He's right there. He's dead.
Dead.
Like, could he have survived? It's possible. He's a Jedi Knight, but he didn't because it says dead.
Yeah.
Like, that's just... So Korkie is specifically not dead.
Yeah. Korkie,
like, he's not
specifically not dead.
He's not alive. He's specifically not dead, and there's gotta be a reason for that. Like I said, he could show up, and it's like you said, he could show up anywhere. He could be in the Bad Batch later. He could be Andor, Ahsoka, Kenobi, any of these things that we're gonna get.
Mandalorian season 3, when they finally go to Mandalore.
Mando season 3, anywhere in there, because he's specifically not dead.
I mean, they can even, like, what if they bring him in? Well, when they bring him in, it's not if they bring him in. When they bring him back, he's under hiding, and he's actually using the name Kenobi.
That's almost more dangerous than using the name.
Yeah.
Thinking.
Because
blah, blah, blah.
Here's the thing about that. Like, if you're using the name Kenobi, Maul's coming after you, number one.
True.
Yeah.
And Vader's going to find you, number two.
True. Good point.
You don't want any part of either of those two.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point.
I think,
Or he was using the name Kenobi and he got found by Vader, and Vader's like, oh.
Goodbye.
10th brother.
Here's the thing. Here's a good question. So, do we think if Korkie got captured, and let's say Vader and Maul are both there, and they both want to cut off his limbs, because why wouldn't they? Are they able to work together, and Maul is like, well, obviously I get the legs? Or do Maul and Vader fight each other, and he gets away because they're fighting each other over it? Like, do you think they can come to a compromise about cutting off Korkie's limbs, or do you think they fight each other over it and Korkie gets away?
I would think they'll fight over it. And Korkie gets away because Maul's ego that's two huge egos over one guy. And this is like Anakin's just a stubborn bastard. He's like, I don't care. Maul, his obsession with Kenobi is sickening. That's it's beyond corruption. And just having those two, yeah, absolutely, it would be we're fighting each other because I want to kill it, and the rabbit gets away.
Yeah. Just based entirely off of Rebels and the way that Maul was just so, I mean, tunnel vision, absolutely, just from that show alone, 100%.
Yeah. Not to mention, Anakin sees Maul and he goes, "Aren't you the guy that tried to hit me with a speeder for no reason?"
Wait a minute.
And then he killed the only guy who was going to be my dad. No.
Yeah.
Like he's literally just
duck
for no reason.
Maul just never passes up an opportunity to just strike down a child. He's just
and
like
Anakin was just bonus points, like
right.
He was getting bad vibes. From the child.
Now.
Honestly, none of this would have happened. I mean,
nope.
Like,
no.
You know,
Maul was trying to save us.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what he wanted. That's what he was trying to do. Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. So, with all that in place, did we say, does Bo-Katan know the truth?
See, I think she knows.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's my nephew. She's got to know.
That's my nephew.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it was really weird when she walked in and it was like, "Here's my nephew."
Because especially given the culture, like you pick up kids, and she's a super traditionalist. So if like she's got to know because it's not her kid, it's not Satine's kid. There's a magical third sibling that they never talk about.
Mm-hmm.
She's got to know.
She knows. It's just the
I
whole plan.
That's a really good point.
I don't think she necessarily knows who the dad is.
Okay.
But she knows it's Satine's kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if she knew.
She's smart enough to put two and two together, though, because, okay, you were on the run with these two Jedi Knights. You came back. You've got a nephew. And
she, like, specifically taunts Obi-Wan when Satine, like, dies, because, you know, that whole thing, he's like, "Oh, you couldn't even keep her alive." And it's like, where were you? Hold on a minute. Like, wait.
I think you were standing behind the guy with the horns.
You were literally...
Didn't you... Hold up. I mean, Obi-Wan really shows some self-control, but that's another example of the type of interactions that, like, Korkie had this whole 17 to 19 years with Satine, potentially, and I just think there's a lot of opportunity there for Bo to have conflict with someone who feels closer to her sister, and she's constantly using her sister as motivation, and it seems like it would be a great opportunity to have someone to check her on that. And like, well, where'd you put him, Bo? Is he like in your basement? Like, what are you doing? I know I got a little bit off track there, but that's a really good point about Bo knowing. I was like, Bo knowing about her own siblings. She's like, it's not my child, and it's not, you know, and we don't have any other siblings, and like, you know, and figuring it out that way. I honestly like really hadn't spent a lot of time considering that because I've only been thinking about it from the point of view of like Bo has been absent for such a long time that she wouldn't know. But that's a really good point.
Like, I just imagine like Bo as the math lady meme with like the like all the math all around her. Like it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, I mean, it's not hard to put two and two together. You were gone. Yeah. You came back. You got a kid. Unless there is a third sibling that they just don't talk about, but that almost doesn't make sense.
Nah.
Because why wouldn't you talk about it?
Yeah.
Unless you really got messed up. Like, we don't talk about that one. That's
oh, yeah.
Well, but especially if they died in the war, like, again, like, nothing is done on accident. And Mandalorian culture honors the past. They honor they honor their past warriors, and so it's like, I mean, even Boba Fett, who isn't technically a Mandalorian, he's never taken the creed or anything. His armor was yellow for revenge for his dad, and then he's changed it to red for honoring his dad. If there was a fallen third sibling, it would have come up. Like, it would have been like, you killed my brother, you bastard, or like,
yeah,
this is your fault. He's dead, or something, anywhere in there. So it's just like, if there's a third sibling, it doesn't make sense.
It seems like, especially, if it was, I mean, if they were someone like Bo, who maybe Satine didn't want to mention, but it seems like if they were anyone that she could, like, spin as being, like, noble, or sort of, you should be proud of your parents or whatever, and I know that, like, in media, you'll get, like, a nephew character because it's like, oh, they're related, but it's not that important. There's just so many other things that kind of add up to, like, well, this is, I have several questions. But yeah, I think Bo probably could figure out what's going on. I'm curious because when Korkie goes to rescue Satine, Bo is already working with him. So, like, who contacted who in that scenario? Like, was Korkie like, hello, yes, I know you were a terrorist, but perhaps we could work together now? Or is, like, Bo, I get this, I just want to know how they hooked up in the first place, because he is, like, at school with his friends, and then suddenly he and Bo are there to, like, help her escape. And I need to know who contacted who in that arrangement.
For real. That's we gotta know that one.
Because Korkie's like, don't worry, she's working with us now. And it's like, how did you like?
Are we sure? We're sure about this? Like, this?
Are we sure?
This is what we're doing. Let's go. Because I mean, and Bo's got, like, this. You're responsible for the situation, but now you feel bad, kind of thing, and it's like,
yeah.
You could have just not. Like, you could have just not.
Yeah. Like, I understand her guilt. It's just kind of, and by kind of, I mean very frustrating, because, like, you've made your bed, now you have to sleep in it, and obviously it goes drastically wrong, because she couldn't have really known that Maul was Maul until they really got into it. But I had a question about Bo. So if she knows, then, like, could it be possible that in her guilt she kind of like locks Korkie in a box and, like, sends him away, like, far away from Mandalore? Like, I'm trying to think of what could happen where, like, feeling like, well, I have to protect him, and in doing so, feeling like being on Mandalore is too dangerous. Like, that's something I've considered, is that she's like, no, you need to be as far away as possible, because after Satine is killed, like, logically, if Bo knows, she's gonna be like, I need to keep this child away from that man. Like, that's my number one priority, potentially. So I think if she knows, she would try to keep him safe in whatever way she felt like was appropriate. I don't know.
So, well, to that, what was Bo's whole agenda? Wasn't it to obtain the rights of Mandalore? So, with her sister Satine being there, of course Satine had to die. That was the only thing.
Yeah.
But knowing that, hey, I can't do it myself because it's my sister. Like, I don't want to have that. So that's a good point. Like, hey, I'll take the Korkie, and we gotta go, man. I got you. Kidnap him. pull the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. Peter Parker, you gotta go, man. You gotta get out of here. Shit's hitting the fan. Like, we can't have you here or you dead. So
yeah,
it's just
I definitely think, like I said, and she doesn't want anything bad to happen to him, but
no,
she also, like I said, if she knows the truth, and I really think that she's like the only person in universe that understands the truth, because who else would know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nobody's got the context. She's the only one that was like, wait a minute, I went away, you were on the run, I come back, you've got a kid. He's exactly old enough. And he's your nephew? Mm-hmm. You didn't adopt him?
Suspicious.
Yeah. Right.
Just yeah, and he's walking around doing this.
It's especially funny if you imagine Bo was like 5 or 6 years old, and she's like, "But where did this baby come from?" And everyone's like, "Oh."
Right, because she's not much older, and he's like, she comes home with either, why is your belly so big?
Yeah,
like what's going on?
Oh, I think then she gets sent to Concordia. She gets exiled as a child.
Right.
For asking too many questions.
Questions. Yep. We gotta keep this under wraps. The PR people said this. No.
Like,
Mandalore PR.
Right.
100%. Like it's like, wait a minute. I don't recall. You got really fat the past couple days, like few months. Like, what is?
Oh man, that's crazy.
I do think that maybe Olmec knew at one point, the prime minister, but he is dead now. And I also don't get the sense that he would want anything bad to happen to Korkie. And so I think, because he was corrupt, but he wasn't his corruption didn't lead to, he wasn't evil. He was just a corrupt politician. And he seems to take pleasure in calling Korkie her nephew when he's about to torture him. So it seems like Olmec maybe knew, especially if Olmec, Korkie has said I've known Olmec my whole life. Seems like Olmec probably put 2 and 2 together, but since his political career was built off of the teens, he was not gonna stir the pot, and then he dies. So it seems like he maybe knew at one point, but he is dead. Yeah. If Maul knows, that is why we're not seeing Korkie, because he is just living deep in a bunker in the ground somewhere, trying to keep away from one of the 2 Sith Lords that would want to kill him.
I don't think Maul knows.
No, I think
if Maul knew that Korkie wouldn't have been running around to save Satine. Because honestly, Obi-Wan himself doesn't even know. Not for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've never met. I'm not even sure if Obi-Wan knows that Korkie exists, because he didn't know Bo existed. So I think, again, with a nephew, the notoriety is a bit less, and so he might not even know Korkie exists.
Wait, they didn't meet?
Yeah.
They never meet. No?
Yeah, I think I just rewatched that whole first arc, and I didn't see them meet, so I don't know.
Wow, they never meet. Korkie has met Anakin, but he hasn't met Obi-Wan.
Ah, you're right. Okay,
oh boy.
Damn.
Yikes. And he knows Ahsoka. I mean, he knows Ahsoka. They have this sort of one sort of mission together. It's, to me, my favorite Korkie moment is when Ahsoka is she thinks that she's mind tricking the guards, but they're playing along, and so Korkie is pretending that she's Ahsoka's leading you into prison, and he's we trusted you, and hands it up and yells at Ahsoka. It's very funny. But so in terms of Jedi, he knows I think Ahsoka theoretically, when she's older, could have a moment where she's oh my god, and just sort of has a realization years down the line. But I think I agree with you that I think Bo is maybe the only person who knows. Again, I just kind of got off on a tangent there, thinking about Korkie's bad acting when he's supposed to be being brought to prison by Ahsoka, and it's you're doing too much.
Because other than Olmec, I mean, Qui-Gon, he doesn't know.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows after he's dead.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, he knows
they
all.
know everything after that, but he didn't he didn't know. He was just like, I've got to go out and I've got to get us a ship. It's time to go. You guys, you guys cool if I'm gone for a day? And,
Peace.
and then he books it, and they're like, what do we do for the next several hours? Dad left, so my parents aren't home.
Oh man, as I'm telling you, young adolescents, it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of like, there's nothing good on the Holonet.
Well, especially if you factor in, like, okay, we have to leave, like, Mandalore has been stabilized, like, our mission is no longer, like, we've completed our mission, like, we have to leave, I'm never going to see you again, like, like this, that's sometimes
Went on Mandalore. You just
went on, yeah, exactly.
Well, wherever they were, because it's like
true, yeah.
They left. They were like
They bounced. They went on vacation, honeymoon.
We don't know though. That's
World's most stressful honeymoon.
We need the Claudia Gray novel.
They were on Draboon at one point because Satine talks about being dropped by Obi-Wan, and there was like Venomites on Draboon. And so we know that they were at one point on Draboon, but like, yeah, it's unclear if we just don't have a lot of details about this year. We know that they were together for a year on the run. They were being hunted by bounty hunters. At some point, there was an incident with Venomites on Draboon. When they had to return, Obi-Wan knew that like he couldn't stay and help her. If he did, he would have to leave the Jedi. But yeah, we're not clear exactly their path.
Yeah, and that's my whole, like, when he says, if you had said the words, it was literally,
I was like, it was good, huh? Okay, got it.
Right?
Yeah.
It was literally, he says to her, if you had said the words, but I think it went more like, say the words, Satine. Say them.
Say it.
If you say it, I will leave the Jedi. The order. Of course.
I'm gonna do it. I swear I'll do it.
And she was just like, nah.
No.
And so now he has a kid he doesn't know about. And it's just... it's...
Yeah.
The whole situation just like... They're just like... They're not giving us context on purpose at this point.
For sure.
It's like, well, like, there's not a tweet, there's not a... there's
another piece of information, which is, I mean, it pretty much just says the same thing as the Google Hangout, which is a tweet to Pablo that was like, hey, who's Korkie's parents? And he's like, that's not been stated for what it's worth, but it's not Bo. It's like, that's not been stated. Who cares? Other than like he's a very minor character. Why does it even matter? And it's very, like, to me, it seems like this was a story that was like an idea, and either someone said no, or like they weren't sure how to tell that story. But I just, there's so much about it and like statements that people have made that it seems kind of like there's so many easy ways to just not have it be a thing, and they haven't taken those. Right.
It's like I really think they're trying to figure out how to do it, and then they have, and they're just not telling us they've already done it.
Yeah.
Like it's coming. We've got all this stuff that's in the right area for it to be. So it's coming. It's got to. I mean, like I said, they're not gonna. Korkie's been in how many episodes? Like 6?
Two.
Only 2 episodes?
Only 2 episodes. Yeah.
My poor baby.
Right. So if
Quinlan Boss was only in 1 episode until we got Dark Disciple. So like.
Right.
True.
Right.
True.
There's
still hope for him too.
He was also in the background to Phantom Menace.
That's true.
He was sitting at a table.
He was just like.
It wasn't Quinlan Boss at the time, but like.
Yeah.
He eventually became Quinlan Boss.
It was a background character that they were like, oh, he's cool. Let's make him a thing.
I like his yellow eye thing. It's nice.
Yeah, his tattoo or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of Quinlan, I think the funniest way to reveal it would be to have Quinlan use his psychometry to just like pat Korkie on the back or something and be like, oh, and then like have him like blast all of the knowledge and be like, oh my god, like what do I do with this information?
No,
that actually would be great because him and Kenobi doesn't like Quinlan.
They're like Kenobi together.
That wouldn't work. He would have to.
You're not gonna believe this.
He would have to touch something that was Satine's from the time, which Korkie probably would have.
Oh yeah. Oh,
so he's just
like he has one of Obi-Wan's cloaks that was made into a blanket, like a baby blanket. He doesn't know it's a Jedi cloak. Quinlan touches the cloak.
Yes.
And he's like, oh my god.
He's like, hey, did you know? Did you know about this? And Korkie's like, know about what, dude? Like,
standing there holding it like
traumatized.
Did I know about my baby blanket? Yeah. It's like the one thing I got to leave with. What?
What about it?
Standing there like, I've seen too much.
So, damn, that's good. So that was does Bo know? Why didn't anyone tell Obi-Wan about? I mean, if Satine was such a big love, well, no one really knew that they had that going on, but. Seriously, why didn't nobody tell Obi-Wan?
He just had so many kids already that he was taking care of. That poor dude, he just can't escape fatherhood. I don't know. He keeps trying.
Yeah, his foster parent limit.
Yeah. Like, oh, sorry, legal limit. You just...
Like, I can understand Satine not telling Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Because I think that, regardless of what she said... Then he would have been like, "No, I'm out of here." Like he would have left Coruscant. But like I said, Bo had to know. Why didn't she be like, "Hey"?
Yeah. I only believe that either Satine had to make her swear, or she took some kind of oath that you don't mention this at all. Because I believe Bo knew. Like you said, I believe she knew more than she let on. And that's why she took that jab at Obi-Wan when she ever wanted something and used Satine like, "Wow, you can save her this," and Satine would do this, and it was like that she used Obi-Wan as a tool. She knew everything, but I believe that Satine made Bo swear the Mandalorian oath. It was like, this oath. Like, you don't say this goes to the grave.
I might be a pacifist, but I will end you. This will be the end of it.
So, I mean, just on many levels. I mean, so that's what I'm thinking about that one. But
yeah. I mean, for anybody who's unfamiliar, I think the idea behind Satine not telling him is, I mean, they basically decided that they each had responsibilities that were more important than their relationship. And I don't see Satine. She clearly didn't want to take him away from being a Jedi. And so that would be exactly, I think, like X-Core is saying, like, I don't see her wanting him to feel a sense of, like, I'm coming to be with you because I have to. And especially taking him away from, like, being a Jedi. And she's also in a relatively stable position. Like, it's not like they're going to starve, right? Like, she can provide for him on her own. And she sees how important the Jedi Order is to Obi-Wan, that she respects that and doesn't want to take that away from him. That's kind of what I see. I also think she knows realistically the trouble that's going to cause in a post-war torn, system. Like, I don't want to complicate things more than they need to be, and I don't want him to feel a responsibility to, like, come support this child as opposed to doing it because he really wants to. So that makes sense. In terms of Bo, she seems like she would be very strategic with that information and really be thinking, like, is this to my benefit to reveal this? Is it, and then especially how quickly things fall apart in the entire galaxy, after that, all, the Jedi, everything that happens to them, I think she could see, like, this is just not the time to reveal this because, I mean, I assume Bo thinks Obi-Wan is dead, like everyone else, after they have that kind of final confrontation, and he doesn't come to help Mandalore. It's only Ahsoka, and so I could see her thinking, like, I'm not gonna, maybe not thinking he deserves to know.
So here's the thing that I just realized doesn't make sense. That Empire knows Kenobi survived 66 because of that transmission. There's no way the Empire doesn't get a hold of that transmission.
That's a good point. I don't know that.
How did they not find him? And they know he's alive because they've stated that in Kenobi we're getting a rematch, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh.
And, well, people are like, well, that doesn't make sense with the canon. And then it's like, well, no. Vader specifically tells him the first time in episode 4, you should not have come back.
True.
So you know this guy is out there and you just don't care?
Yeah. He's like, eh.
Like, there was a whole entire Jedi purge that happened after Order 66 for anyone that escaped. They were literally going to great lengths to find
they
anybody
sent
who
Inquisitors
survives.
after them, yeah.
Inquisitors, Purge Troopers, you name it, they were going after stray Jedi. You know Obi-Wan is alive and he's chilling on your whole planet.
Yeah, he's literally
He's just-
fighting there.
He's just hanging out there with Anakin's kid in a hut.
I imagine, or at least I hope, that the Kenobi series is going to fill in some of those gaps regarding, like, when did Vader realize that, you know, because obviously Anakin knows that he's alive because they have that fight, right? So it's when, you know, when does all that sort of information get filled in, especially with like the Jedi, and if this is earlier, we haven't seen this time period really yet. I mean, we have the comic that has some stories from like various time periods over Obi-Wan's time on Tatooine, but yeah, I'm really hoping they fill in some of the I'm trying to think of like what could, you know, happen that would cause Obi-Wan to need to like be, you know, brought into action again, and something like Inquisitors makes sense, or like a crime syndicate thing, like something that's going to cause him to take action, because he was pretty much, you know, laying low and not drawing attention to himself. So, but yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of who knows who is alive. It's like a very stressful game to play in like post Order 66.
But like the one person that everyone knows is still alive is Obi-Wan. Bail knows he's alive. Anakin knows he's alive. Is Anakin doing his best not to tell Palpatine, because that's like his ace in the hole? Like,
Yeah, that's like his one.
Their relationship is not okay.
Who?
Like the one thing Anakin wanted from Palpatine, he didn't get. Like he completely he lied to him. He's like, oh yeah, no, we can totally do this. Yeah, no, totally. And then it's like, no. So is Obi-Wan like the ace in the hole? Like if things go real south, and then
I feel
Luke
like
shows up and
Vader,
he's like,
yeah.
"Who the fuck is that?"
Vader just does kind of whatever Palpatine says. I mean, I'm not a huge Vader expert, but I get the sense that he's like, yeah, I would kill Obi-Wan if given the chance, but my life now is like I am cursed with this like tragic existence, and I basically have to serve Palpatine, and like, you know, he thinks that his children are dead, so like what is there for him to really like live for other than like spite and anger? So I feel like if given the chance I would kill Obi-Wan, but I'm sure that Palpatine has lots of other stuff that he needs to do, that he's like, Vader, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And I was gonna say it's because he's busy, but like I do legitimately think that it's because he's busy. Like he's got a lot going on.
And like I said, I don't think Palpatine, like Palpatine knows he didn't. Well, Palpatine knows he's alive too.
So Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan, yeah, because I mean, who else chopped him up and left him in a pile of lava? You know what I mean?
No, yeah, Palpatine knows.
He's like,
yeah.
I just took 3/4 of your limbs. Thanks for playing.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, he doesn't really probably feel like much of a threat at that point. He's just like a guy out in the desert. So as long as he's not threatening him, it's kind of like, you know, to what extent is this worth my time? Although, again, in Kenobi, we could easily see Inquisitors tracking down Obi-Wan. We could see Inquisitors finding out about like a child that can do magic on Tatooine, and like, like this is maybe we should look into this. Like there are some options for. I'm fascinated. I have no idea what the plot of Kenobi is going to be, and I'm excited by that, because
I mean, you probably I think you may have just
Maybe.
somebody got a hint of Luke as a kid. Oh, okay. I caught a womp rat when Force choked it on accident. He got pissed because he couldn't shoot him. And then somebody saw like a Jawa reporter said, "Hey man, what is this? Uchichi, and get it over here and let's go." I got a Jedi, and so Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, I got to go out there and do my job." And no, hey Vader, what's up, man? And they fought, and Vader's like, "I got my ass whipped again." It's like, you know, I'm not going to tell the Emperor, but no, that was a fake call. Be cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, you never know. But so somebody said this one.
I have a question for the class. So I think we should look at it both ways. If Obi-Wan knows and Korkie doesn't, and if Korkie knows and Obi-Wan does it, does either one like reach out and like tell the other? Like, what's your take on like if Korkie knows, does he try to find Obi-Wan? Does he tell him, or does he just feel like, you know what, you didn't save my mom. This has all happened because of you. You know, shrivel up in the desert and die? Or is he like, no, I need to meet with you. I need to tell you. Alternatively, does Obi-Wan, if he knows, does he feel responsible to contact him? Or is he like, you know what, I think it's better if I just don't get involved. Everything I touch is like, what is everybody's thoughts on like who would, like how would they respond?
So Zach and I had talked about it, and we decided if that if Korkie knew, that he might seek out Obi-Wan. Because maybe we talked about like going to the hut, but I think it was mostly a joke. I think that if Kenobi knew, maybe he wouldn't if he wasn't like force sensitive. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
wouldn't bother.
I believe if Kenobi knew or even found out and got any kind of like hint of that, Korkie's still alive, and yes, one, it's too emotional because he'll see Satine in him. And then two, I'm technically a wanted man, a wanted Jedi. So any involvement with me, you associate with me, you're gonna die.
Yeah, that's it.
So I can't risk that last thing that I love to be harmed, because technically, you know, you're 50. Oh no, you're her nephew. So you're family of hers.
Yeah.
So I don't think Obi-Wan would reach out. Korkie probably. I mean, it's a 50-50 with Korkie because you can be pissed off because you can come help,
mad,
or you're like, hey, I need your help. I'm like, what's up? What are we gonna do about this?
Yeah, because everyone's looking for their only hope at that point. So who knows?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't think Obi-Wan knows, because if Obi-Wan knew about that, there's no way he doesn't leave the Order, because he wanted to. He was like, I'm good. Like, all I need is you. And she was like, no.
Yeah.
So I think there's absolutely no way, if he has a kid, he's not gonna want to be with his kid. So, but if it's after the fall of the Republic, no, he can't. He's like, okay, I've got first of all, I've got to keep Vader's kid from going off over here. And I've got to make sure nobody finds you. So the best way to do that is to stay right here.
Yeah.
As far as Korkie, like I've already said, I'm going to go ahead. 10th brother. He's going to show up.
Just go for it. Why not?
That's what's going to happen. He's going to be the 10th brother. He's going to figure out this is my dad, and he's going to be like, listen, motherfucker. He's going to show up, and
we're going to have some words.
Because we've already seen him in that sort of black uniform. So you know what I mean?
Oh my god.
So him being in an Inquisitor uniform it's not a big jump. Like, and that's why I think this is where this is going, because
you're stressing Julia out. Stop that.
Stressing me out.
Like again, Dave doesn't waste stuff. We've already seen him in that uniform. It's not a big jump to an Inquisitor uniform. And he shows up and he opens the curtains to the hut and he's like, "What's going on?" And then there's some banter and he just pulls out the spinning saber like,
Oh, the helicopter
He
saber.
flies in.
No, he's not going to fly. He might fly away.
Please.
I 100% want some saber
I need
copters in live action.
zoom.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's going to show up. He's going to show up.
See,
He's
I
going to
don't
pull out
think
his saber, and
yeah.
there's going to be an altercation.
I don't think he's force sensitive, and I don't want him to be. I think because we already have like that story. We have that story multiple times now. We have Luke and Leia, and we have Ben/Kylo Ren, like the legacy of the Force and being in a family of strong force sensitive people. I think it's talk about the best worst thing. Like, how do you like? Who are you if you're like, okay, my mother had this pacifist dream of Mandalore, and so to many people, I'm not really a Mandalorian. I don't follow the Rezulnare. I don't wear armor. So like, I'm like, what is my identity? And I'm also like, my father had this power, and I don't have it. I'm not a Jedi. I don't have that same connection to the Force. Like, what are you supposed to do? And it's a type of identity crisis that I think is new and very interesting. Whereas Luke and, you know, Ben and Leia, like they had to like recognize their strength and the power of their bloodline and like dealing with that like responsibility. And this is sort of the flip side of that of what can I do for the galaxy? Like, how can I help when I don't seemingly have this special gift? And I feel like part of his story could be coming to terms with like himself as an individual and like what he can actually achieve and like give back to the, you know, how he can help without having that power. So I think that's really interesting. It's also very sad because it's like I'm, you know, a failure in many ways, and that's kind of how I want to see the force sensitivity thing. I don't think it should be genetic in general. I think the Skywalkers are like a very special case, and I think Korkie is more interesting if he's struggling with like not having that same power.
Being normal.
Yeah.
Being normal.
In Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah. Having two very sort of exceptional parents and
Right.
like not like I was raised to be a leader on this planet that has been essentially destroyed, and I'm not force sensitive. Like, what is my place here? And it would be about figuring that out.
But we already have the figuring it out story for a lot of the characters. So
Yeah, but they have the Force to help them and guide them.
Well,
not
not
having
Din.
that makes it harder.
Oh, Din.
not
Well, Din is like a
like
Mandalorian.
that's
like,
that's the
there's
Yeah,
story
but
here.
he is a Mandalorian.
That's
is
true.
his
He is,
identity.
like-
Right, but the thing with Din is he's figuring out. So he's got the ancient like Death Watch like
Yeah.
creed, but then he meets Bo, and then he meets Mayfield, and he's
He's like,
Right.
he's like finding who you are is. I mean, that is Star Wars,
Right.
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't.
I would
It's
say
just
for
like,
him,
my thing with Korkie is I think it's what's the best worst thing they could do, like, and that I think like is other than like the themes we see in Star Wars, that is sort of always kind of what happens.
Right.
Like what was the best worst thing they could do with Darth Vader? Let's make him Luke's dad. You know what I mean? Like that was the best worst thing they could do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's the best worst thing they could do with Leia? Oh, they're twins.
right? They kissed, but they're twins. Like,
Like it's always it sort of always boils down to like what's the best worst thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best worst thing that they could possibly do in this situation, because he all of a sudden he shows up, he tells Obi-Wan, "Hey, I'm your son. You didn't save my mom, and this is the price." And it's like, so,
yeah.
and this show is about Obi-Wan dealing with his past. Like that's the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
It's how does Obi-Wan deal with his past to protect the future of the galaxy? Korkie's got to show up, doesn't he?
If we're right.
You're right.
If we're right.
But
Yeah.
it's like Julia said. If we were wrong, they could literally just be like, "No, you guys, you're crazy. That's not a thing."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it would be a 5-word tweet. It would be a 5-word tweet.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, you're not the father. Like,
You are not the father.
You are not the father. You are not the father. Yeah, 5.
That's it.
But they haven't done it, and there's got to be a reason.
I'm waiting.
Right.
No,
I'm waiting. Yeah.
I mean, if they do it,
Korkie.
it's going to be the Kenobi series if they ever even mention them. That's what I mean.
And the other thing, like, I do love that story, Julia. It's just, it's one of those things where it's like, you have 2 episodes for the character, so like they obviously aren't giving him a show,
right?
Darn it!
And he would need a show for that, or a book. I mean, they could give him a novel.
Yeah,
I would take a book or a comic.
Yeah, a book would be good. A comic series would be good. I also think, you know, in terms of where he could appear in Kenobi, like my pitch is, this is my pitch. I think we're going to see Obi-Wan go through a lot of what like Yoda goes through in season 6 of Clone Wars and training to be a Force ghost, and he has those visions. He has to face his fears, and I think Obi-Wan will face a version of his life if he had stayed with Satine. So he's going to see a vision of what that life would have been like, and in that vision, he's going to see this child who he assumes is from an alternate, like what could have been, not knowing that this child is real here, and somehow, you know, letting the audience know, like, no, this Korkie actually exists, and then Obi-Wan interprets the vision as like, this is what could have been, but it's actually real. And so it's a way to let the audience know, like, yes, this is his child, but no, Obi-Wan doesn't at this point realize it, because he thinks it's part of this vision of like training of like, you could have this life if you had stayed with the team. So that's one way I could see it, where he's brought in, but he's not an actual character. It would be part of like his sort of training to become a Force ghost, is like confronting that. And, you know, that's one way they could do it, I guess, that I've considered.
Yeah. That could be beautifully tragic.
Right?
Yes.
Those damn Force visions, they be tricky, man. They like one thing, you see something so vivid, like, okay, now I gotta do this, and then next thing you know, you triggered the trap card.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I'm like, God, I was like, no, you should have went the other way, but you know, that's a great way to describe it. But
so here's a question for the class.
Oh gosh,
where would they have gone if they had both, if Obi-Wan and Satine had left?
You
mean like after Order 66, or
no,
when
I mean before. So let's just say, because it's fun. Let's just say Obi-Wan says to her, "Say the words," and she goes, "You know what? Yeah, let's do this.
Sure.
I don't need to go back to that. Like,
screw it.
Let's do this. So they leave. Where do they go?
I don't think they go anywhere. I think he's Duke Consort of Mandalore, and they rule Mandalore. And I think that it doesn't end well, because his destiny is to be a Jedi, and I think it ends not well for them. That's my take. I think that's why Satine wanted to avoid it, and why Obi-Wan wanted to avoid it as well. It was never. Yeah, I think they get married. Well, because, again, in Shadow Conspiracy, not canon, but it's based off of the scripts for those episodes. So, you know, obviously the episode itself is canon, so this is just potentially contextual information. That says that, you know, Qui-Gon's sort of musing, or it's describing Qui-Gon's thought process about Obi-Wan's teen, and saying, like, you know, to say nothing of marrying Mandalorian nobles. So, according to Qui-Gon, in that book, they were going to get married if he stayed. So, again, that may not be how it actually happened in canon, but I think he would have been her trophy husband. He would have been Satine's Jedi trophy husband on Mandalore, and it would have caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, because he's not that type.
No.
No.
I don't even see that as that type. I think that if that even happened, it would cause a rift between Mandalore. Because they do have beef with Jedi. I think now they're just tolerating them. Like, hey, you know, okay, yeah, you work for the public, do your thing, we do our thing. If we need you, we won't. But if we need you, we'll call you. But I think that it was just like, why are you having this outsider in here? You're a traitor, and then it caused so much issues. And so I agree.
Yeah. I could see it further radicalizing all of like Death Watch and everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
kind of snowballing.
Yeah. Now you're saying the next ruler of Mandalore is going to be this Jedi spawn? No, thank you.
Are you kidding?
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a good situation.
Says Julia, I love the Force Ghost string idea.
Chef kiss.
I mean, you can imagine. I just imagine he sees Satine holding this baby, and he's like, "Oh, this is what my life could have been. Like, I could have had a family." And then all of a sudden, it cuts to like this teenager, young man, like confronting him. You know, like grabbing him and being like, you know, guiltily, like, "You could have done X, Y, and Z." And Obi-Wan still thinks this is, you know, guilt. This is something I'm supposed to face. This is actually real Korkie, like really thinking that I've been abandoned, but he doesn't know. And I think that would be really fun. And by fun, I mean very sad.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You know what? I'm here for recreational sadness. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I like that phrase, recreational sadness.
I heard it somewhere. I thought it was great.
What is Obi-Wan Kenobi's life if not recreational sadness? Like, that's
You're right.
the story of his life.
You're right.
Right, because the only way that their relationship works is if they both give up what they were doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is why the year on the run worked, because like, yeah, he was still being a Jedi, but he wasn't on Coruscant, and the mission was Satine, and she was obviously not ruling Mandalore. Like,
right.
the only way that works is if they find something else to do.
Yeah.
No, right.
Wow.
Sorry.
That was unintentional, but sure.
And Korkie, that's where you came from.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to talk with him.
About to
I
get you
agree.
some brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Start a whole new clan.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they both had, you know, it's the tragedy of like, it's the opposite of Anakin and Padme. Like, they were both like, no, we're not going to abandon like what our careers and our relationship. Like, we're going to try to do both. And Obi-Wan and Satine did the opposite. We're like, no, we're going to, like, being the leader of Mandalore is what matters to me. Being a Jedi is what matters to you. And neither of us is going to really cross that line unless we both agree to sort of give those up. And I don't think either of them would have been happy long term with that. And that's really sad. It's like there's really it could only really have worked in this unnatural, you know, situation. And it's just very sad. In a fun way.
Do you think that's why Obi-Wan doesn't say anything? Because he obviously knows about Padme.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's just like, sure, go ahead and be happy, and we see how well that works out. But like,
say hello. I at least hope you said hello to Padme for me.
I think
a lot of
Jedi is just you know, it's like just turn a blind eye to stuff like that. We know what you're doing. You ain't stupid. You ain't supposed to be doing it, but just don't do it. Don't let us know about it. You know. It's like,
I think it was Kiadi Mundi. Is that the one I'm thinking of? That basically his species was dying out, and so they let him.
Yeah.
Go help.
7 wives.
Put it back.
Wives. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a sperm donor.
That's a way to put it. It's like, I swear I have no connection to any of these women, and I'm like, okay.
Good for you. Like,
great.
Well, I mean, you have real Averroes who's just drinking in nightclubs, smoking death sticks. Like, that's okay.
So
yeah.
Here's the thing, though. They technically has retconned the whole thing of a Jedi can't be married.
What do you mean?
So, the Jedis can have attachments, but I think what happened was a child, I don't quote me on this, but I remember reading this. A kid was dying, and he wrote George Lucas a letter saying, you know, I want to be a Jedi so bad, and this, and you know, I mean, I see myself having a wife and kids and have a family, but Jedis can't get married. George Lucas says, it's okay, Jedis can't get married. And George Lucas made canon on that one. It's and I'm like, well, really? But Kiadi Mundi.
Yeah.
That fact.
Yeah.
You know, for certain circumstances.
I guess in a way, I view the Jedi the same way I view like the Mandalorians, and that sounds like. But there's the Order, and there's Death Watch, and then you have like the fringe groups where it's like, yeah, I mean, Kanan is still a Jedi Knight, even though he's off with Hera doing whatever he was doing in A New Dawn. So there's that, but he still considers himself a Jedi Knight, and they become something else. And same when we see like Yoda again, and so that was a very
that was the biggest issues that I mean we can do a whole other episode on that one, but yeah, it was like it was the Order, compared to just the actual Force user and who's a Jedi. So yeah, no, I agree with that one, but
it's the whole thing. They kept it secret because Anakin was afraid of what would happen, but really we see that all that really would have happened is when it came to making decisions about Padme and / Naboo, they would have just been like, "No, you're too close to this."
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It was like, "Hey, no, bro, no." You get mad. Chill.
No, you need to...
Dark Chocolate likes to mention, like, we've never actually seen anyone be expelled other than, like, with Ahsoka's situation. Like, they don't actively go about trying to get people to kick people out. And so a lot of the fear that Anakin had is, like, I think they would have been a lot more willing to work with him than he thought. He was just so afraid to reveal this information to them. But I know George has specifically said, like, well, they're not celibate, right? Like, that's not the rule. The rule is, like, you can't have such a strong emotional attachment. Like, it ruins your ability to make decisions. And the reality is it does, absolutely, mess with people's decisions. Obi-Wan going to Mandalore in the first place, like, that was all part of Maul's plan. Like, he played right into it because of his attachment. So, I don't think they have the entirely wrong idea with attachment. Honestly, when you have that much power, it's incredibly dangerous to have something you care about more than anything in the world.
Yeah, you're 100% on point, because I mean, technically, I call myself a Jedi. I would love to live the best life of a Jedi, but at the same time, if it came to my kids like that, fuck that. I'm about to kill
I can't do it.
Exactly. I'm like, no, Jedi shit out the window. I was like, what's up?
I'd be like,
right. That's sort of exactly
that's the plot of Return of the Jedi. That's essentially like
I say
in Revenge of the Sith, like
because I say that I'm a Jedi, but in the reality, if someone asks, I go, I am no Jedi. Like that's really
it's just a guideline. That's all it is.
I do cool stuff with the lightsaber.
Right.
That's it.
Well, it's like in the case of Ahsoka, the only reason they were going to expel her from the Order was because they thought she was responsible for killing people.
Yep.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah.
And that's like the only.
And there was
time
political implications, and it was war, and it was a really messy situation.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, Quinlan Voss. Have you read Dark Disciple yet?
Not yet.
Ryan?
I have.
He was like from what I heard, I haven't read it.
I don't want to spoil it, but just
he did things that could have gotten him kicked out, and they did not kick him out.
He was the
best.
He was
that's what I heard.
He went off. He literally went off the deep end and did a bunch of stuff that was basically treason. And at the end of it, they were just like, "Well, it's kind of our fault we put you in that situation." So,
come on back.
All's forgiven.
Love that,
because they could have said, "Take the bearish vow or do whatever you got to do, but go somewhere else." Mm-hmm. And they were just like, "Nah, it's really our fault. We shouldn't have asked you to do that."
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's just like you're just kind of sitting there like, okay, so really, Anakin's decision is just like
at that point.
Yeah,
Julie, you want to take this one?
No. The answer is no. So
no.
Well, with that, guys.
Good night.
I mean, bye. So this is the frustrating thing is they could have been and then he was captured and killed, but no, they put in that line about all of the people that helped Satine escape, Satine get out escape. It's like, what? Like you should have. You don't know what you've done to me, Dave Filoni, because you punched that guy, like, why punch? Like, I think maybe it's because Korkie is important and they wanted to keep him, like, as a, you know, but it's clear that somehow he gets away. But no, I haven't. This is why I need to see him and know he's okay, because he has a concussion, and I just want to make sure that it was taken care of and that he's doing all right. But no, he gets punched out of the show, and then, like I mentioned in those other storylines, it's like, why didn't you just kill him off? Because now it's weird that he's not involved with these Mandalorian storylines, and it makes me, like, a little bit crazy to think about. My theory is because they couldn't do the story they wanted, truly, and so there was, like, his story is that, and so without that, it's kind of like, well, why have him there? That's my reading, but
they're waiting to give him the best worst thing.
Right.
I hope so, because if I go to my grave without seeing that boy again, I'm not going to be very happy.
I'm just sad.
You might not be happy when you get to see him.
Yeah. Well, I've said, like, I'll take anything, but
it's just like he's very specifically not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't do, like, every character is either alive doing something,
right,
or dead.
He's in the void.
Right. Like,
he's Schrodinger's Corky currently.
Well, like everybody, like, we see has a thing, and it's just not Korkie.
That's George Lucas's thing. Well, I can't even say George Lucas's thing. It used to be George Lucas's thing before he sold Star Wars. Is that everyone had an end. Like Ahsoka, Dave said, George was like, okay, so we can go kill her off. Like, she wasn't supposed to be a main character. He's like, so okay, you gotta wrap this up. We can go kill her off. And he's like, well, hold on. let me look her a little bit longer. And then he's like, okay. Well, let me go kill it. Let's kill her off. Then she became a fan favorite. Mm-hmm. And so, like, no, she has more of a purpose now.
And George specifically was like, hey, there's a bunch of characters who aren't in Revenge of the Sith who don't appear after, so, like, we got to get rid of them before we get to Revenge of the Sith. And yeah, that was an example of, like, he was like, Ahsoka is obviously not in this movie and not later on, so, you know, we have to explain why that is. Like, obviously, I think that's part of why Satine dies. It's like, if she's alive after that, she's, like, her and Obi-Wan are probably going to meet up again, and that doesn't happen. So it's kind of tidying up loose ends. And it's just, it's an untidy loose end. Like, it's very messy, and it haunts my dreams.
We will get answers. I know we will.
Hopefully.
And with your persistence, with everyone's persistence, our community's
keep trying,
we will get it. And I believe that we will get it in Kenobi. And
like I said, I really just think it's because this is for kids on a Cartoon Network. Is why they didn't. That's why he's a nephew.
Yeah, because I mean, they already had so many complaints from parents on online forums about how it's not for children, too much violence. Like, well, we'll just throw out the part about the parents thing, the birds and the bees. We'll just.
We don't want to get into that.
We not have no premarital sex here.
That really is sort of the, like.
No. Yeah,
with American parents, like, that is the line. Like, that really is that's the line. So
unfortunately.
Like,
yeah. I mean, it's
like I said,
like, you can't shoot BB guns and shooting birds at the tree with the BB gun, and you're worried about them having sex. Okay.
Who is the father? Oh no, yeah. Like,
right. Yeah. Like, wait, Jedi don't get married, so. Like,
wait a minute. Yeah.
Oh man. So, xcoregamerskillz. This has been a fun one, and a real exciting, great discussion. I really do love it. I mean, I probably can go another whole hour, but for time's sake and our audience sake, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a part 2 of this and bring you guys back again, because this has been amazingly fun and just great conversation back and forth. And I love this topic. I didn't realize that this was a topic that needed to be discussed until it was discussed.
Same.
And it's like it's amazing. So Julia, thank you for all your knowledge on this and all your research and persistence with this one. Bright, thank you for all your input and all your knowledge on this one too. I will speak for myself, but I know it's mutual. We love you guys on as the guests. Thank you for being our first actual guest for the podcast. I think this is going to go very far, and we will have you guys back on. So, did you want to touch on that? Anything, Xcore?
Yeah, and let's just do some closing thoughts. Like I said,
okay.
So just last thing. We know he's going to show up again because he's not dead. Where do you think it's going to be? And we can start with Ryan. Why don't you go ahead?
Kenobi show. I mean, if this reveal isn't in the Bad Batch, it's going to be Kenobi show.
I have to agree with that one. I'm going to agree with that one, and if it's before that, it's like a comic.
Okay. Okay. Julia?
So I think it could. Here's what I think. I think we're going to get a reference or a name drop in Mando season 3, and then we'll get an appearance in Kenobi.
All right.
And I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be in a vision. That's just what I've decided. But I think we'll get Bo explaining the history of Mandalore to Din, and Satine and Korkie will both be mentioned, and then we'll all collectively lose our minds, and then eventually we'll actually see him later.
Yeah.
Do you think either of those actors is Korkie? Because he could conceivably show up in Andor.
I know. He could be a spy. Fulcrum Korkie is an amazing concept.
Don't they both look a little young? Because he's about the same age as Bo-Katan. So they both seem a little young to be Korkie.
I mean, in 10 BBY, he's only like 27 to 30, so I think those guys are both in their mid to late 30s, so I think they could reasonably...
I keep forgetting it's like 20 years before...
Yeah. I mean,
I
Kyle Solar looks so much like Korkie, it actually physically causes me pain, but I don't think either of them is actually Korkie, because like they're both... It seems like they're actually going to have bigger roles in Andor, but at least I will have footage of Kyle in Star Wars that I can then use to make him Korkie in like a fan video. So even though like I'll be able to like make it happen, but at this point I'm not willing to say like I'm not putting any hope in anything, because that way I won't be disappointed. Basically,
we're not sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My expectations are on the floor, so literally anything is going to be exceeding my expectations.
I'm not sure what to expect from Andor at all.
Space Michael Clayton. It's going to be Space Michael Clayton. If you've never seen that movie, George Clooney and Tilda Swinton. It's Space Michael Clayton. That's my guess.
No, I don't think I have seen that one.
It's just I think spy thriller. Like I'm really excited because I like kind of like espionage stuff. So I think it'll be really very interesting. But yeah, I mean, Fulcrum Korkie is really fun. He knows Ahsoka. He could easily have been with the Empire, but like I can make it work in my head. But again, I can make almost anything work in my head. So.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if they're not going to do the best worst thing, then he could be working with the rebellion. I don't see why. There's almost no reason why he wouldn't at this point.
Yeah. With
everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Because he's not working with his aunt, actual aunt.
No, I don't think he and Bo get along very well.
He's not working with Sabine. He's not involved in any of that. So if they're not going to do the best worst thing and make him the 10th brother, then Spy Korkie makes sense. Like, he's got those connections. He understands the way politics and politicians work. He understands sort of that whole type of thing, and he is, he's kind of in the right place at the right time.
Right.
He can use his connections as the last living Kryze, essentially. But that's all I've got on that one, actually.
Go to bed. It's 3 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Jeez. That's called love, man. Yeah, we appreciate that one. Thank you.
I like that too. Fulcrum Inquisitor.
Double agent action in.
That's my idea for the comic. That's the comic now.
There you go.
Love it.
Dave's listening to this right now, like
taking it. Hey, Julia's on his radar. I was like, man, this girl.
Yeah. He's just very tired of me.
I think that like literally Pablo Hidalgo follows him around with a muzzle.
He's like,
stop it.
Don't say it.
Or he's got the shot collar. Like, Dave's got a wristband on. Dave's got a little headband on that you don't see under the fedora.
Mm-hmm. Oh, where's the hat?
Yep.
He's got the dog and we're like, no, Dave.
Nice. All right. So, with that said, so thank you again, guys. I really don't have any closing thoughts. I mean, I gave you all my thoughts on everything. I do appreciate you guys being here and just everything that you guys gave to us and what you shared. Very, very knowledgeable about this amazing conspiracy around the Korkie Kenobi subject. So with that, we're going to end this. But first, we want you to go ahead and let the viewers know where can they find you guys at. And Bright, we're going to start with you.
Yep. So you can find me on TikTok at Bright Dragon. Same thing on here. That's really all the place I create. I just do all my cosplay and everything there. Everything else I do is pretty private, but that's where you can find me.
Okay. Julia?
Yeah, I'm at Julia Christine 77 on TikTok, and I also co-host the podcast Star Wars English Class with Fern, who's also on TikTok. And we are both, I'm a English instructor at university, and they're an English teacher, and so we analyze Star Wars through your English class topics. We just recorded one on the selling your soul to the devil folklore idea in literature and comparing that to the Sith. So that'll be coming out next week. But yeah, so Star Wars English Class podcast, and then Julia Christine 77 on TikTok.
Nice. xcoregamerskillz?
I am xcoregamerskillz. I am on. Basically, if you see that name, it's me. Mostly I do everything on TikTok. I'm getting into Twitch streaming and really trying to get a setup where I can do some YouTube and stuff. But right now, it's you and me on the Conspiracy Cantina. I do a lot on TikTok and a little bit on Twitch.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I am Jedi Master Depaul. You can find me on TikTok as Jedi Master Depaul. And I have YouTube here on the Conspiracy Cantina with hosting it with xcoregamerskillz. And yeah, so that's where you can find me. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for all of the great questions. Thank you for the engagement. We really do appreciate it. And please feel free, if you like what you saw, hit the like button, share this, and let people know about this, because it's only going to get better. And we'll be doing this more. This is a bi-weekly podcast. And once again, thank you for joining and viewing the Conspiracy Cantina. So with that, guys, take care.
As
always,
yub
for life. I read the notes.
Nice. All right, guys, take care and
good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.